Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back to October 23rd, 1945, an episode of Inner-Sanctum-Mysteries. Richard Widmark starring in The Corridor of Doom, a horror story about a sick man in a hospital who finds himself walking down an endless hallway, approaching the door with his name on it. Have I spoiled it too much? Here's your host, Inner Sanctum Mysteries on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Boris Karloff. Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host. Welcome again through the squeaking door to another session of mystery, murder, and madness. Oh, excuse me if I don't get up, but I'm all worn out. Yes, I've had a hectic few days with an old friend who just blew into town. He's one of those earnest souls who insists on doing everything for himself. Consultations with the monument makers, the grave diggers, fittings at the coffin maker. Yes, quite a busy body. But then we only die once, you know. Our story is called The Corridor of Doom. It's an original radio play written by Robert Newman. And our star tonight is a man who gives even me the shakes. The famous star of stage, screen, and radio, Boris Karloff. Have you thought about death lately? Not the fact that it's inevitable, that it must come to all of us someday, but rather how it will come. Do you think of it as a sleep and a waking, of a sudden transition from one state of being to another, or to a state of non-being? John Clay was one of those people who never thought about it at all, until he found himself walking down that dim and endless passage which... But suppose we let Boris Karloff in the role of John Clay tell you about it himself. If your blood pressure will take it, put out the lights and come on a little trip down the corridor of doom.
When I woke up, I had no idea of where I was or how I'd gotten there. I was lying on a hard, white bed in a clean, white room. There was a dull pain in my abdomen. Touching it tentatively, I felt a bandage. So that was it. An operation. But for what? And where was I? At that moment, the door opened, and she came in. Good afternoon. Or is it evening?
Whichever you prefer. It doesn't matter.
My name's Clay. John Clay.
Yes.
And yours?
You can call me Nada.
Exactly. Where am I? In what hospital?
It has no name.
What? But that's ridiculous. I'd like to speak to Dr. Rogers. If you'll get him for me, please.
There is no Dr. Rogers. At least, not here.
Then who operated on me? And for what? Listen, I'm not a well man. I've a very bad heart. Will you get someone who can talk to me?
If you wish. I'll call Dr. Stone.
A chill crept through my bones. It wasn't cold. It was fear. Unreasoning and abysmal fear. The door opened again, and there stood a heavy-set man, his hair flecked with gray, and with him, my son-in-law, Alex Bartlett. Alec, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you.
Hello, Father.
But why are you standing out there? Why don't you come in?
Oh, no. No, I shouldn't advise it, Mr. Clay.
And why not? And why... Was it you who operated on me?
Yes. I'm Dr. Stone.
Why wasn't Dr. Rogers called in? He's taken care of me for years.
There wasn't time. It happened during the night. Acute appendicitis. And even as it was...
Even as it was? What? And why are you dressed that way, Alec? All in black.
Well, it's customary. After all, you are my father-in-law.
Of course I am, but... Now, look, Alec. You've got to stop being so mysterious. You know about my heart, what any sudden shock will do.
I don't think you need worry about that anymore, Mr. Clay. And as far as the mystery is concerned, this initial period of adjustment is always a little difficult.
Difficult? Do you realize what it's like, lying here helpless, completely isolated, as if I were all alone in the world? Or isn't there someone I can talk to? Some of the other patients?
Not just yet. When the time comes, you'll meet them.
But, look, Doctor, I can't stand much more of this. I can't. If I don't find someone who really cares about me, who'll treat me like a normal human being... And my dog. How about my dog?
What do you think, Doctor?
Yes, that's possible. We'll see what we can do, Mr. Clay. Come along, Bartlett.
Goodbye, Father.
You'll be back, won't you, Alec?
I don't know. I'll try, but it's difficult. Very difficult.
Then don't go, Alec. Don't leave me here all alone. Come back. Come back. I waited and watched and waited. Then the door opened, and there was the doctor again. There was a small, thin-faced man with him this time, wearing the white coat of an orderly and carrying a black box with a handle. My dog! You brought my dog.
All right, Martin. Give it to him.
Yes, sir.
Here, thank heaven, now at least. Come on, Carrie. Come on, boy. Get up. Wake up. Why, what's the matter? Carrie! He's not asleep. He's dead.
You wanted him, Mr. Clay.
But why didn't you tell me? When did he die? How?
How old was he?
11 and a half. Maybe 12.
Pretty old for a dog. That's probably why he could come.
What do you mean? What are you trying to do to me? Don't you realize I'm a sick man?
Easy, Mr.
I won't
Clay.
take it easy. I won't stay here another minute. I'm leaving right now.
Sorry, but I don't think we can permit it.
No, well, we'll see about that.
You're getting yourself all upset for no reason, Mr. Clay, making it very difficult for the rest of us. Martin,
Yes.
you'd better let me have some of that bottle there. About 10 cc's.
The red medicine?
Yes.
I don't want any medicine. I won't take it.
Now, please, Mr. Clay.
I won't, I tell you. No, I don't want the... It's awful. Salty. It tastes like...
Yes. But I think you'll find that it will make things much easier for you. Very much easier.
You're doping me up. That's what you're doing. Putting me to sleep. You think that when I wake up, I'll forget about everything.
Yes, Mr. Clay. You'll forget about everything. Everything.
I was somewhere deep down under the earth. It was a passageway, stone-flagged and with stone walls, and I was walking slowly down it in my bare feet. I could feel the chill of the cold stones through the thick layer of dust. The passageway stretched ahead of me, endlessly. And then suddenly, I noticed that there were doors set into the walls on either side, closed doors. And on each door there was a name. Abel, Abercrombie, Abington. Where was I? What was this place? What was behind those awful, ominously closed doors? Something seemed to be drawing me on down the terrible passageway. Addison, Agar, Allen. I could feel the cold creeping up my legs, higher and higher, my heart pounding faster and faster. And suddenly I knew where I was and where I was going. Knew what was waiting for me there ahead of me down the passage. Exerting all my will, I turned, tried to go back. With a roaring in my ears, I was falling through the darkness. Falling. When I opened my eyes, I was in that cold, white room again, clutching the blankets with trembling hands.
How do you feel now, Mr. Clay?
You cried out, sir, as if...
A dream. The most awful, horrible nightmare I ever had.
A dream? The doctor will be very interested. Would you care to tell me all about it?
Oh, I don't even want to think about it.
It was about your former life?
Former life?
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I meant... Here, where are you going?
To get my clothes, to get out of here. I won't stay here
But you
another
can't
minute.
go. You can't, Martin. Help me.
Please, let go of me. Let go. Don't you realize that if I do stay here, if I dream that dream again... Listen. I was in a passageway. An endless, eternal passageway like a corridor of doom. It stretched on and on to infinity with doors, closed doors on either side. And on each one of the doors in alphabetical order there was a name. The name of all those who had died since the beginning of time. I was walking down that corridor on my bare feet and... Why are you looking at me that way?
You mustn't talk about that. You mustn't, do you hear?
But you asked me.
You didn't dream that dream. You couldn't have. And you've got to get it out of your mind. We'll help you. We'll give you a massage. That should make you relax. The alcohol, Martin, right over there.
A massage, you think that'll help?
If it doesn't, we'll call Dr. Stone. Try something else. Martin.
I see. Now what? What are you staring at?
Your feet.
On the soles. Dust. Thick, gray dust.
Dust. Like the dust in the passage. The corridor of doom. And that means... It wasn't a dream. It means... I was really there.
Dirty feet on those nice, clean sheets. No wonder our friend the nurse seemed so upset. Or was that the reason? Maybe she was just disappointed that he still hadn't told her about his operation. Yes, that always has them in stitches. Great big stitches. Like the ones they take in a shroud.
October 23rd, 1945, Inner Sanctum Mysteries on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Inner Sanctum Mysteries, The Corridor of Doom, October 23rd, 1945.
Well, now I think it's about time to take another little walk. Yes, down the Corridor of Doom with our star, Boris Karloff. And by the way, don't be concerned about getting too tired, because you'll only have to walk one way. That's the nice part of a trip like that. You don't have to worry about coming back.
I lay there, staring down at my feet. No, it had not been a dream. For there, on my feet, was the thick, heavy dust from the corridor of doom. I had been there, walking down its awful silence, not in my mind, but in the flesh. My heart clenched like an icy fist, and I threw the blankets aside, started to get up.
Mr. Clay, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Let me go.
But you can't get up. You can't leave.
Oh, let me go.
Martin, quick, help me.
Please, Mr. Clay. Oh, for heaven's sake, let me go. Don't you realize what this means? If it wasn't a dream, and if I stay here, go down to that horrible place
We've
again...
got to make him quiet down. Some more of that medicine, Martin. Another 10 cc.
Right.
Oh, no more of that. It's
here, Mr. Clay.
You must take it. You must. It will make you sleep. Sleep so soundly that you won't be able to go down there again.
No, but... All right. Give it to me.
Here. You stay here, Martin. I'll go get Dr. Stone and tell him.
Better, Mr. Clay?
I don't know. Color. Dark red. Taste. It's like...
Yes, I know.
And it makes me sleepy. My eyes get heavy and... Have you been here for a long time, Martin?
No, not long.
What is it like outside of this room?
It's strange. Like no place else.
And the other patients, what are they like?
They're strange, too.
Listen, Martin. I'm a rich man. You're the only friend I've got here. You've got to help me.
Whether you're rich or poor doesn't matter. As for helping you, that's what I'm here for.
You've got to stay here. Watch me. Every minute. My heart. I don't think it'll stand much longer. My first sensation was one of cold, numbing cold, creeping up my limbs. I reached for the blankets, couldn't find them. Then I opened my eyes, and I was there again, back there in that awful endless passage, that corridor of doom. The same stone wall, stone floor, covered with a thick layer of dust. The same doors with a name on each one, on both sides of me. But now I was up to the bees. That one there, Barbara, next with Babbitt, and then Backer. I tried to cry out, but I couldn't utter a sound. I tried to stop, check myself. My muscles didn't respond. Slowly, heavily, I continued walking on down that endless passage, past Badger, Baffin, Bagley, past the bees and towards the seas, towards a door with my name on it. My heart pulsed, pounding with terror. My breath rasped in my throat. Convulsively, I clutched at the walls, forced myself completely around. Then, as if I were fighting against a roaring gale, I drove myself back. One step I took, 2, 3, and I stumbled. I was falling again, falling through darkness, complete, absolute, unending. Even before I opened my eyes, I knew where I was. Back in my room, the sheets crumpled in my sweating hands. I lay there for a moment. I knew that this was my last chance. And this, I knew where I was. Back in my room, the sheets crumpled in my sweating hands. Slipped out of bed, tiptoed to the door of the room, opened it a crack, and peered out a hospital corridor. And sitting at a desk halfway down it, the nurse. Could I slip past her? Then on a table next to the door, I saw the telephone. A telephone! Now I could get help. Reach someone who would save me, take me out of this place. Picking it up quietly, I dialed my daughter's number, Alec Bartlett's wife.
Hello?
Jane? Oh, thank heaven.
Hello?
Jane, it's your father. Listen, you've got to help me. You've got to come and get me. I'm at the hospital. Alec knows where.
Hello, is anyone there?
Yes, can't you hear me? Didn't you hear what I said? It's your father and... Jane! Hung up. I heard her, but she couldn't hear me. Something wrong with the phone, her phone. I've got to get hold of somebody, but who? Dr. Rogers? Oh, might be out. If they come in while I'm phoning... Oh, I know, of course.
Police headquarters. Ryan speaking.
Hello, police. This is John Clay of Riverside Road. I'm at the hospital. I don't know where.
Hello?
Can't you hear me, officer? For heaven's sake, listen. It's a matter of life and death. John Clay at a hospital. My son-in-law, Alec Bartlett, can tell you where.
Hello?
Officer, listen. Don't hang up. Don't.
nuts.
Officer, hello.
Anything the matter, Mr. Clay?
Dr. Stone, your telephone, there's something wrong with it.
No, Mr. Clay. There's nothing wrong. Not with the telephone.
But I tried to make 2 calls. 2 different numbers, and...
I know. And you should have known.
Nurse, orderly. Should have known what? Why couldn't they hear me when I could hear them? Why?
Yes, Dr. Stone?
Will you put Mr. Clay back into bed?
No. I'm awfully sorry, sir. I only went out for a minute. Come on, Mr. Clay.
No,
please.
leave me alone, please.
Mr. Clay, please.
No. No use struggling. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I know. Doctor, I won't have to go back down there again, will I? Down to the corridor?
That's not up to me. All right, nurse. I think we're ready for another dose. The final one.
Yes, Doctor.
No, doctor. No, not that red medicine. Not again.
I'm sorry, but you've had a lot of time. All the time we can give you.
All right, Mr. Clay.
No, I won't
Here.
take it. You know what it means, Doctor. I go back down there again to the corridor. It'll be to the letter C. To the place where my name is.
If he won't take it by himself, perhaps you'd better help her, Martin.
Yes, sir.
No, I won't. Again, I knew where I was before I opened my eyes. I could feel the dust under my bare feet, and through the dust, the biting chill of the cold stones. And the conclusion of Inner Sanctum Mysteries, October 23rd, 1945, follows these important messages. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for joining us. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Inner Sanctum Mysteries, The Corridor of Doom, October 23rd, 1945. I was there, back in the corridor, walking down its silent length past the blank, closed doors. For the names on the doors, now they were all C's. Cabot, Cadden, Cahoon. On I walked, the beating of my heart, the pounding of my pulse loud in my ears. On down the passage, no longer even trying to fight against what I knew was inevitable. On past Cameron, Chelsea, Chiswick, and then, suddenly, terribly, one door. A door with my name on it, gaping, waiting for me. I tried to stop, to turn, but my legs carried me forward. I was but 2 doors away. I could see into it now, see that it contained nothing. Absolutely nothing, not even a coffin. Just stone walls and a flat stone slab. I was turning to step over the threshold. I made a last convulsive effort. Merciful heavens, help me! Save me!
All right, Martin. Pick him up.
Yes, sir.
Is it all over? Hello, Bartlett. In at the death, eh? I'll see if there's any pulse, of course, but I should think it is all over.
It is, Stone, but not the way you think.
What? Clay, he's not dead. No thanks to you. All right, get him up, both of you. Here, Mr. Clay, let me help you.
It's all right, Martin. I'll be fine from now on.
But how?
Don't look so surprised, Alec. Mr. Martin is a detective. I hired him some time ago. You see, I had a feeling that something was wrong when that railing broke accidentally, and I took that bad fall. So I decided I should investigate.
You can't prove it. You can't prove anything.
The first results of Martin's investigation showed me what bad financial shape you were in. And it was then that I realized that you had actually been trying to murder me to get hold of my money. So I faked that story of having a very bad heart.
You mean it?
I thought it would give you the idea of trying something more subtle and less dangerous. And it certainly did.
But you still can't prove anything, not a thing. No, don't you worry about that. Don't forget. Come back here, Bartlett.
You'll never have a chance to prove it.
Come back, Bartlett.
Oh, you shot him, killed him.
Well, I couldn't have. I fired up in the air to get him to stop.
Come on.
But I don't understand it. There's not a mark on him. But he is dead.
He was the one who had the bad heart. That's what gave me the idea of Good heavens, look.
At what?
This hallway was supposed to be the corridor of doom. When I reached the door with my name on it, I was supposed to die. Look. Look at the name on that door there. The one right next to him.
Bartlett. His name. So what?
Nothing, Martin. Nothing at all.
Now, where do you think old Dr. Stone got the idea for that little alphabetical graveyard? That's right, from me. Huh? You don't believe me? Then come on home with me tonight, and I'll show you the one in the cellar of my house. What's more, I'll show you a door and a neat stone slab with your name on it. And now a word of advice. If you should wake up tonight with a sudden chill, find yourself walking barefoot down a dusty stone corridor with doors on both sides of it, don't get excited. Just insist on a doom with a view. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is The Whistling Legs by Roman McDougal. Yes, and next week's Inner Sanctum story, directed by Hyman Brown and brought to you by Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup. Next week's story is about women. Yes, 2 women who like to be treated rough. Choke 'em to death, shoot 'em, murder 'em. They'll love you for it. And who do you think is going to be their boyfriend? That's right. Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff will be with us again next week, because who else could love such women? So, if you're in a tender mood, tune in next Tuesday. Until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
October 23rd, 1945, Inner Sanctum Mysteries on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 7 of the 9-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Phantom Chase Matter. This episode from October 23rd, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
This is Lola Chase, Johnny.
Lola, where are you?
At a hotel over at Mirasol Beach.
Mirasol Beach. You're here in Barbados?
Yes.
Look, when I left you in New Orleans, you promised to go back home to New York.
I know, but I just couldn't stay there. Look, it's my husband you're after, Johnny. He's an embezzler, and according to you, he's even a murderer. But he's still my husband. If there's anything I can do to help him...
Lola, the best you can do is to stay away.
I'm sorry, I just can't, Johnny. Please don't try to make me.
Lola, I'm coming over to see you.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Barbados, British West Indies. To the Home Office, Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Phantom Chase Matter. Expense account continued. Item 23, $1.20 American. Cab fare to Lola's Hotel at Mirasol Beach. She was waiting for me on the terrace.
Please don't be mad at me, Johnny.
Oh, I'm not mad, Lola. It's just that I hate to see you keep leading with your chin. It's the best way I know of to get kicked in the face.
I know.
After all Chase has done, you
Johnny,
still...
I've discovered something about me.
Yeah? What do you mean?
It does hurt to get kicked in the face. It hurts plenty. But you know, after a while, you get over being hurt.
Oh.
When you found out it was a woman who arranged Tom's hideout in New Orleans, I thought, well, it seemed like the end of the world for me. Up to that point, I kept trying to tell myself that the reason Tom had embezzled the money was because he was in trouble of some kind, and I could help him. But I guess down deep I knew, right from the start, it had to be another woman.
And that's why I wanted you to go back to New York, Lola. I don't want to see you get hurt anymore.
I know. But, Johnny, I don't think I can be hurt anymore.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't count on it.
I mean it. When I found out there was another... It ended a lot of things for me. And one of them was the way I used to feel about Tom.
You're over it now?
Well, not completely, of course, but things are different with me now.
Then I still don't get why you came down here.
I still want to help Tom if it's humanly possible, don't you see? Let's say I feel obligated to because of the way things used to be. Does that make sense, Johnny?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I gotta be going now, Lola. It looks like your husband is holed up on an island about 3 hours from here.
Is he all right?
I wouldn't know. I haven't been close enough to find out. Except once. And that once got me a lump on the head.
What do you mean?
Oh, I ran into a girl named Connie. Thought she was Tom's friend. She offered to locate him for me. I guess he was following and caught up with me down at the waterfront.
He attacked you?
Yeah. Then it turned out the girl was only trying to promote herself a trip back to the States. She knew I was looking for Chase. She'd had a date or two with him, so she saw a chance to make some money.
But how did you find out where Tom's hiding?
The girl heard him talking to a fisherman. She pointed him out to me. He told me he'd taken Chase to Lagos Island. Now, if that fisherman's on the level, it looks like the case is just about wound up.
And if he isn't?
It could be another trap. But with luck, I should be back by dark with your husband.
I'll be waiting, John.
Expense account item 24, 950, long-distance call to Chase's senior partner, George Everson, in New York. I figured he ought to know that Lola was down here in Barbados.
Lola there? Why, Mr. Dollar, I thought she was right here at home in New York.
No, she just arrived this morning.
But this is no good having her there. It just means more pain for her.
She says she's over that part of it.
You don't know Lola. I don't think she'll ever be over Tom Chase. Mr. Dollar, I'm going to take the first plane to Barbados and bring Lola back to New York with me.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Mr. Everson. This time, maybe you can make her stay. Things could get a little rough around here, and I'd just as soon she was somewhere else.
Rough? Johnny, you've located Chase?
I think so.
Well, look, maybe if I came down right away, I could persuade him to give himself up.
Afraid it's a little too late for that, Mr. Everson. It looks like Chase is holed up on a deserted island. I'm leaving in a few minutes to pick him up.
He doesn't know you're coming?
That's what I'm going to find out. See you when I get back. I hope. Item 25, $30 rental on a power cruiser. I wanted one I could handle alone and one with a radio. After I'd arranged for it, I told the owner to get it ready while I paid a visit to Inspector Whitsett at Colonial Police Headquarters.
Lagos Island, sir. That's where this chap Chase is hiding.
Yeah, it looks like it. According to this chart I have, it's about 3 hours out.
Yes, just about, I should think. How'd you find out that Chase was there?
Well, I finally located that girl, Connie, who'd pulled the disappearing act on me.
Good.
Not good. Turns out she isn't Chase's girl after all.
Oh.
At least I don't think she is. But she'd heard him talking to a fisherman. She pointed out the fisherman, and he told me he'd taken Chase to Lagos Island.
I wonder, Mr. Dollar. Well, doesn't the whole story sound just a wee bit pat to you?
Yeah. And that's just what's worrying me. This whole deal could be a trap. Connie could still be Chase's girl. And that fisherman could be in on the deal, too.
In which case, you could be in for a bit of trouble at Lagos Island.
Well, there's one way to find out, Inspector.
Well, let's hope it's not the wrong way.
What do you know about Lagos?
Well, it's fairly flat, pretty heavy underbrush. A small cove with a rickety pier and an abandoned house on the other side of the island.
Anyone living on the island? I mean, other than Chase?
No, not that I know of. Oh, there used to be rather good sport fishing out there, but that died down a couple of years ago. Oh, I doubt that anyone's been near the place in quite a while.
I see. Look, Inspector, I'd like you to do me a favor.
Oh, certainly.
Well, I've got a radio on the boat I rented. My call letters are 6X3. Now, here's a description of the fisherman in this boat. I'd appreciate it if you could have one of your men keep an eye on him and radio to me if he puts out to sea after I do.
Very well. Of course, even if he did put to sea, it wouldn't necessarily prove that he was working with Chase and was going after you. He might just be going fishing.
Oh, sure. Just one thing, though, Inspector. I don't want to be the fish. I went down to the waterfront. My boat was all ready, so I went aboard and shoved off. Once out of the harbor, I set my course for Lagos Island. The boat was equipped with a rig for lashing the wheel in position, sort of an automatic pilot. So I snapped it in place and started down into the cabin. And then I saw the cabin was occupied. Lola.
Hello, John.
Oh, great. For 2 cents, Lola.
I knew you'd turn back and put me ashore, but please don't.
I can't, but only because I can't afford to take the time.
I'm glad.
But if you think I like the idea of your stowing away, you're crazy. Do you mind telling me why you did it?
For a very good reason.
Well, let's have it.
Tom obviously doesn't want to be found.
I think he's made that clear enough.
And you, well, you're the kind who doesn't stop until you finish your job. So, that being the way things are, Johnny, somebody could get hurt. And I couldn't stand that. I thought that maybe if I came, there wouldn't be any violence.
Oh, look, Lola, Chase isn't going to get hurt if you'll just be sensible.
I wasn't only thinking of Tom. I wouldn't want you to get hurt either, Johnny.
Oh?
I've thought about you a lot. About how wonderful you've been to me. It's funny.
What is?
Oh, just that if things were different, maybe you and I...
Maybe. But things never are different, Lola.
I know.
Are you sure that's the reason you came along?
What do you mean?
It wouldn't by any chance be because you want to help Tom Chase.
Help him? I told you, Johnny, if there's anything I can do to help you, I want to. That's why I came down here.
Help him get away from me.
Thanks for your very charming opinion of me. It's wonderful knowing that's the way you feel.
Look, Lola, whatever my own private opinions and feelings are or might be, sometimes I have to file them away and concentrate on the way things look.
When the time comes, Johnny, you'll see that isn't the way it is at all.
I hope so, because the time could be pretty soon.
6X3 from Barbados Control. 6X3 from Barbados Control. Over.
This is 6X3. Go ahead.
This is Inspector Whitsett, Dollar.
Oh, yes, Inspector.
The fisherman in question left the harbor about 20 minutes after you did. He may be following you. Be careful.
I'll try, believe me. Thanks, Inspector. Over and out.
What does that mean, Johnny?
It means that this Lagos Island deal could be a trap.
Oh, what are you going to do?
Find out. What else? We kept going. A couple of hours later, we sighted the island. There was no sign of life, and I headed for the rickety pier. There was nobody in sight, so we went ashore. Inspector Whitsett had said the house was on the other side of the island, so we started through the underbrush.
It's awfully dense in here.
Yeah, it sure is.
How far is it across the island, Johnny?
Oh, about a mile, I think.
Is there anything over there?
A deserted house, although it's probably not deserted now. Easy through here. This stuff is pretty rough going.
Look, if Tom won't give himself up, will you let me talk to him?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to take any chances with you, Lola.
You mean you still think I might try to help him escape?
I mean, he could be pretty dangerous right now.
Oh, he'd never turn on me, Johnny.
Don't count on it. I remember a guy named Freddie Quintana who tried to turn him in back in New Orleans. Freddie wound up dead.
No, I still can't believe Tom had anything to do with that. He's not the type. Johnny!
Get down. You were saying, Lola?
Where did it come from?
Who knows in this underbrush? Come on, down in the gully. He's shooting wild. He mustn't be able to see us.
What do we do?
Work our way along the gully and keep as quiet as possible. Maybe we can spot him from the other end. Careful now.
Johnny, your gun. You're not going to try to shoot him.
You think he's trying to shake hands with us?
Oh, but...
Be quiet, will you? It's thick in here.
Can you see anything at all?
No, nothing. Hold it a minute.
What's the matter? Shh.
Not a sound. Now, look, you'd better stay right here, Lola. This is a fairly sheltered spot. You'll be safe.
What are you going to do?
Track him down.
Johnny, How do you know it's Tom out there?
I don't. But whoever it is sure not hanging the welcome mat out for us. I'm funny that way, Lola. I don't like getting shot at. Now, you stay here.
But, Johnny,
do as I say. Still wild.
That came from a different direction, it sounded like.
Yeah, from behind us.
Toward the beach.
Well, they must have circled around us. Hey.
What's the matter?
The beach. Oh, brother, is this a sucker play?
What do you mean?
He's heading for our boat. Come on. We took off through the underbrush, heading for the beach. It was slow going. Lines kept grabbing our legs. The footing was bad. Then we finally came out into the opening. I saw my hunch was right. He'd started the boat and was pulling away. By the time we got to the pier, he was heading out to sea, out of range. He turned and looked back at us over his shoulder.
Johnny, it's Tom. It is Tom.
Now, here's our star to tell you about the next exciting episode of this story.
Next, a friend of the rescue and an unfriendly phone call from a killer. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us for the next exciting episode of this story on Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
October 23rd, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand. You can learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there. You can find lists of sites where you can download our shows by podcast. You can find our social media links, and you can even contact me there, or you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections. That's classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers, and as always, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.